Hey, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and as you know, the mass incarceration crisis, epidemic, Holocaust is one of the greatest concerns that we are faced with in the 21st century as people of color. One of the great champions in this movement is a brother I'm about to speak to right now. His name is Mr. Yarima Karama. He's a spoken word artist, as well as a hip hop artist and an activist, and he's also a veteran of the prison industrial complex. He did a lot of years in prison that he didn't deserve, but yet he's getting max value out of that difficult experience by making sure that he helps as many people as possible. And first, I want to ask my brother, how you doing today?
I'm great, Dr. Boyce. Good to be here, and much gratitude to you for giving me the avenue, brother, and having me on for this interview, allowing me to share my trials and tribulations or past trials and tribulations that I went through in the prison industrial complex, allowing me to share that on your channel. I'm so appreciative.
Well, I'm doubly appreciative because I think those real stories need to be told. It makes me think about even during slavery. I mentioned that to you where the stories that were being told about what happened on the plantation, some of the atrocities of racism and all the other things we went through, that actually woke people up and let people know what was going on because a lot of people don't know. Everybody's talking about Black Lives Matter. Well, Black Lives Matter even when they're behind bars, right? And people kind of forget that. Now, the other brother that we have the honor and pleasure of speaking with is Mr. John Ray. Now, John is the CEO of Full Ray Productions. That's one L, FUL, RayProductions.com, out of Columbus, Ohio. How you doing today, brother?
Doing fine, Dr. Watkins. How you doing?
Doing very well, and Mr. Ray is responsible for shooting a lot of the videos that Yarima has put up on the Boyce Watkins channel. And they've been really, really good, excellent productions, man. I've enjoyed them myself.
Yeah, Dr. Watkins, like I was saying earlier, I've been following your page for a while, and I saw the videos of Brother Yarima, and it took me a minute to realize, wait a minute, I know that guy. So after I figured out who he was, we're both in the same city, I reached out to him and said, hey, man, let me help you, shoot a couple of these segments and really get the message out there in a clear and concise way without just bring the production quality up, and that's something I can do. I do have a small production company, and I could offer a service to him, and we're already collaborating on a few things. So it's turned out to be not a profitable venture yet, but definitely one as far as relationship and networking.
Well, I love it. I love it. I think that's that's one of our great opportunities to escape racism is when we are able to utilize technology to come together and work together on things, right? Because so many of us are just kind of out here by ourselves. You got different black entrepreneurs, especially that feel like they're kind of on their own, and I don't think it has to be that way anymore. Maybe it had to be that way 20 years ago, but not today. Now you hook up with your Facebook friends, and I know over in the Black Wealth Boot Camp, we've had about 30 businesses come out of that in the last 6 months, where people literally just said, "Hey, I saw you on the page, and I know you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Let's talk." And it's great seeing these relationships grow. I want to start by asking about your series. You did a series, Urema, called Behind the Wall, or story tales from behind the walls. Or sorry,
Like, from
voices
behind.
from behind the wall. Sorry about that. I got a long day, everybody. So please forgive me. But voices from behind the wall, and
Yes.
I like that name because it just reflects just the fact that there are real people behind the walls of mass incarceration with real stories. They're living real life experiences, even though some of them unfortunately are forgotten by society. Um, now tell me, what was that like? I mean, I know I asked you to do it, and you were gracious enough to do it. But I started thinking. I said, I don't know I wonder how this makes him feel to have to, relive some of this. What was that like for you?
Well, it wasn't negative in that aspect. I look at it as what the name entails, voices from behind the wall. That I'm still speaking for a group of brothers that I'm in contact with. I still have friends that I left behind. That these are good men. They have life sentences. Their outdate reads death. And so, if there's anything that I can do to kind of speak for them, as well as some of the atrocities that they face on a daily basis behind the wall. I wanted to do that, and so I will be honest. At times, it's going back, reliving some of the things that I had to go through. Is like but there's a thing, and the Jews adhere to it. It's like never forget, and so what you've actually allowed me to do is not forget, because I think that when we tend to forget, we get lackadaisical. And so I want this to be an issue that is addressed. I think that it's a fallacy that the country that proclaims to be the freest in the world has the highest prison population, higher than China, that's got over 1 billion people. I just think that that's ridiculous. I mean, the numbers. And then one of my segments I talked about, and it's so imperative that people understand, there was a warden that told me, he said, this is a business, and I'm not going to let you shut my business down. And so when we start to grasp and comprehend that, and then we start seeing the private prison industry that says, hey, we have to have so many beds filled, what does that tell a police department? What does that tell them? We have to meet a quota. That means you have to lock people up. So in order to lock them up, I think Governor Ryan said it best. We've let so many people off of death row who were found to be innocent. If we have people on death row who were found to be innocent because DNA testing proved that they were innocent, how many people, drug dealers, robbers, who don't have the luxury of DNA testing, how many of those people are sitting behind bars right now who are innocent? And so to be able to do this and tell the stories and the lifestyle that one has to live behind those walls, if I have to be the conduit for that, I have no problem with it.
Mm. Well, a lot of people saw your videos. A lot of people benefited from them. Tens of thousands, if not well over 100,000 people watched the different videos you put out. And I thought that was great, because I think a lot of people are not aware of how this incarceration thing works. Some people live under this interesting myth that there are so many black men in prison because black people just break the law more often, which we know isn't true. We know what's up with that, right? We know the people who are making the laws are the ones who are they don't throw their kids into prison and throw away the key. They'll throw our kids away and throw away the key. So in that regard, that whole Black Lives Matter concept does come into play, because it's saying a black life really doesn't matter. Now, let me ask you this: when you do your videos and you're putting stuff out, what's been the reaction from people when you hear from people? I mean, you getting emails or messages from anybody? What are people saying?
Oh, absolutely overwhelmingly positive. People are thankful. They're showing gratitude. They're tuned in. They're some of them are mad that I'm not mad that I'm not putting out more videos. I've been accused of not making them long enough. But it's all positive, and I'm appreciative for that. Of course, there's the negative, and I take that too. I quite honestly, I sit back on some of the negative comments and I laugh, because it just shows the ignorance of that particular person, and not to say that only the positive matters, but it is to say that some of the snide remarks are like, I mean, it's one thing to say that you don't agree with something. We can agree to disagree. We can say that, I don't think your story, or you can ask a question, but it's those few negative ones that really, it's like, it just makes me laugh. I'm just like, wow. But with that, there are people that get on and defend me as well when they see those negatives, and they're like, "Look, troll, get up out of here." And so that's the flip side of it, and I'm just appreciative for it all.
Like I say, welcome to the internet.
Yeah, it's you took the words out of my mouth, John. I was just about to say, welcome to the internet. So, John, in fact, that lets me segue into you. What made you interested in this project to want to get involved and work with Yarima and stuff like that? What about this whole issue do you relate to?
Well, I've never been incarcerated myself, but like you said, I'm aware of the plight of young black men. I've got grandsons, and that are of that age that they could be caught up in the system if they're not, even if they are careful. You know, it's just you don't have to be not careful not to get caught up in the system. So I saw the videos and I watched the message. You know, the message he was putting out. Like, this is good information. This is stuff that needs to get out. And you know, when I approached him, I wasn't looking to make any money off of a profit. I wanted to help him get his message out as clearly as possible because he's got a good message. And you know, so often people will approach you for something they're looking for gain. You know, that wasn't my intention when I got involved with him. I just say, hey, man, I can help you do this. I can help you. I can help you make this better, and get that message out there. And you know, watching him tell the story, it's kind of riveting to me. I'm supposed to be watching the camera, making sure lights and stuff are focused, or you might sometimes see the camera go down or something. But I'm paying attention to him because the story, you know, it's like it's real. You know, you can tell when someone's contriving or you know making up stuff, but this stuff is real. You know, and I just saw it as an opportunity to help a brother out and you know help him get his message out.
Wow. So I'm curious, Urema. So have you read at all about the recent New York Times article? And if you guys didn't see any of it, I could tell you about it. But there was an attorney who wrote an article recently where he was basically explaining that the Obama administration was pushing to keep people incarcerated illegally, even though they were these sentences were you know deemed to be outdated or
Hmm.
excessive. I don't know if you read this article, but it's a really
I
good
haven't
article.
read. I haven't
Yeah,
read.
yeah, it's I you know I can't find the title right off the bat, but we actually had a change.org petition put up on this because what basically was found was that they the give me a second here. I'm gonna try to look it up while I'm talking to you guys. Um, so a brother actually went up and you know filed an appeal to try to you know get his sentence reviewed, and because there were some technicalities that were done incorrectly, and basically the Obama administration consistently fought against his release, even though the judges wanted to let him go because they
Hmm.
felt that that the idea, I think they might have used the word permanence or something like that, finality, that the finality of his sentence was more important than actually reviewing his case. And in fact, they actually penalized him because they said there's a rule that says you cannot appeal, you cannot file a certain appeal twice. It was something
Yeah.
like that. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that. Yeah, and so in fact, I'll read what this guy wrote. The article was by Alec Karakatsanis. I can't even pronounce his name right, but he's a civil rights attorney. He wrote in the New York Times. He wrote that President Obama used his power to reduce the sentences of 46 federal prisoners locked up on drug-related charges, but for the last 6 years, his administration has worked repeatedly behind the scenes to ensure that tens of thousands of poor people, disproportionately minorities, languish in federal prison on sentences declared by the courts and even the president himself to be illegal and unjustifiable. And the case that he mentioned was Ezell Gilbert, who got 24 years for possessing 50 grams of crack in 1997. And even his judge, like your judge, said that his sentence was too harsh. Well, let me just tell you more. So years later, Gilbert filed a second petition arguing, and he was correct on this, that his rights had been violated through a misclassification of his offenses. And so what happened was the Obama administration said that he shouldn't be released because it's against the rules to file the two petitions for one case, and also the finality of the sentence should be more important than advocating for justice itself. And so just to finish this off, Judge James Hill, who's an 87-year-old conservative, he said that a judicial system that values finality over justice is morally bankrupt. He also said, and this guy's a conservative. He's not a liberal. He said the government hints that there are many others in Gilbert's position, sitting in prison serving sentences that were illegally imposed. We used to call such systems gulags. Now apparently we call them the United States. Um, as a person who has seen this system up close in real life, how does that make you feel to know that there are thousands of people who are illegally incarcerated, many of them who look like us, and that government officials who can literally pick up a pen, a black, a biracial president who can literally pick up a pen and sign a couple of documents to let these people out, they're not doing it. How does that make you feel?
Uh, like the same game is being played. You know, there's a few key points, and whether people agree with them or not, I don't really care because I was there. A few key points. I remember when, and I was in prison when they tried to say that our first black president was Bill Clinton, the first black president who locked up more people on his watch than any president in the history of this country. Now, the trade-off was he was also, and I'm being facetious when I'm saying black because we know he's not black, but the trade-off was is that he put more people, politicians, in his cabinet as well. So the trade-off was, to me, was like, Negro, I'm going to give some of you all positions in my cabinet, but these Negroes over here, they're going to prison. Obama, what people need to understand is Obama's a politician. I have a very good friend. He's a writing partner of mine, and his father, who lives in Chicago, is an activist, has worked side by side with Obama, and he has said, don't get it twisted, Obama's a politician. Now, do I have anything personally against Obama? I think Obama's a good figurehead. I think our black young men, our black boys needed to see an Obama in office to see what they can aspire to. I think our black young ladies, our black young little girls need to see a Michelle in office to see what they can aspire to. But at the end of the day, Obama is president. He's got the power to tell Congress right now, I will free every federal prisoner or every federal prisoner with a drug case unless you change these laws. And he's got the power to free them. That's the power that he wields. Just like the governor has a power to free state inmates, Obama has that power. Will he do it? No, but he talks a good one. So I think I think I get upset because I think with him, it's more about legacy, but it's all politics. It's all corporate. It's all corporations making money. If there was no money made to be made, trust and believe they would not have prisons to the extent that they do. How do you build 22 new prisons in California since 1980 and only one college? How do you do that? Because it's about money. And so people are going to continue to sit unjustly, illegally, until there's no money involved in it, as long as these private prisons, these CCAs and all these different private prisons, how do you let corporate entities take control? How does that happen? Because it's about money.
You know, I was watching RT the other day, and I told you about that episode where they were talking about the communications.
Yeah, the phones.
How they were making money, profiting off the communications, and they just ran down a litany of this lady was trying to figure out her charges, and nobody could tell her what the rate was, and you know the prices were just sky high just to make a phone call.
Yeah.
So what do you think it is that leads? Let me ask you this: what do you say when you have people that will watch your video, and I'm sure you've had a couple of, or at least a few, who will see your video, hear you tell your story. You tell the stories about the bad things that happen in prison in terms of the violence and other things, and then they say, well, if you didn't want to go through that, you shouldn't have broke the law. You're a criminal, so you deserve whatever you get. What is your response when people say things like that?
Quite frankly, my response is, okay, they're still diagnosed with the Willie Lynch syndrome, and I understand that. You've still got that syndrome in you. But a bigger thing is that don't let it happen to you. Don't let it happen to you because it easily could. It easily could. You know, the judge on my case, this is the reality. The judge, and I put this in one of my videos, the judge in my case, Judge James Rosenbaum, didn't want to give me more than 10 years. Said it. The document is there. It's public. It's public on public record. Anybody can go read it. Said, I don't want to give him more. I don't want to give you more than 10 years. I think it's totally insane unproductive to send a man away to prison for this amount of time and expect them to get out and be productive. This is what he said. You're the judge. You're the judge. So if you didn't want to give it to me, why?
Mm. Wow.
So that's what I would tell people when they make those kind of remarks, like okay, don't let it happen to yours. You need to read books like Parchment Farms to understand where this trend comes from. You need to read books on the end of slavery and the start of the prison industrial complex and how that took place. You need to understand what they mean when they say overseer and now officer.
Mm.
You need to understand these things. You need to understand that you're going to always be a target first because they don't consider you a citizen and they don't consider this your country. Mm. And you need to understand that there are 92% of the people that I did time with, and I did time from penitentiaries all the way down to the camp where I left from, 92%. You could have given them fines. Nonviolent offenders. There's 8% of people that I would say probably they have no social skills whatsoever, socially diverse, probably should never be in society. I wouldn't trust them to live on my block. But 92%, they shouldn't be there. But they have no problem with it because they're working in their unicorns. They're making them billions of dollars. They send them to work and pay them a medial 22 cents an hour. So,
interesting.
And so then people, Dr. Boyce, will respond and say, well, the 14th Amendment says, or the 13th Amendment says, slavery doesn't exist unless you go to prison. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But why are we making up the mass numbers of prison? When we're 12% of the population, you chop that in half with the men. The men, I think, make up 6-7% of the African American population. Come on. But we comprise 35 to 50% of every prison population in the country.
Well, what people don't understand is that the mass incarceration epidemic it threw the whole black family and black community off balance. They're literally the women outnumber the men, so a lot of black women can't get married. So you have a lot of single parent households that didn't really exist before, say, the 1970s, when Nixon and others and Reagan and guys like that started to declare war on black people, but they disguised it as a war on drugs. That's my conclusion on it. So I agree with you. I'll say this too. I'll throw this in there, brother. I will say that let's assume that we all agree, and I'm sure you would agree. Let's assume that it's not because you did go away for a drug offense. I think there was a gun or something like that, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's assume that we can all agree that it's wrong to do what you did at the age of 23, 22? Is that how old you were?
At 23.
23. Okay, so even if we all agree that you shouldn't do that, which we agree on, we're not going to talk about the fact that if you were white, things might have turned out different. But let's put that to the side.
Dr. Boyce, I'm not even going to talk about the fact that I said I didn't do it. But let's assume that I did.
Right. Let's assume that you did, and let's assume that it was wrong. And I agree with you. I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions here. Even with those assumptions, the punishment has to fit the crime. And that's what I think people forget. And this is what leads to these massive human rights violations, is that we get to the point where we really think that if you quote unquote break the law, and if you are labeled as a quote unquote criminal, that you deserve whatever happens to you. And that's the crazy part to me. And I just tell people, I said, so do you agree that my daughter should do her homework? They say, yeah. I said, so what if I stabbed my daughter in the chest and said, I stabbed her because she didn't do her homework? Would that make sense to you? And they say, no. I say, well, exactly. So what you're saying is that the punishment should fit the crime. It should, so we're not arguing. We're not debating over whether or not a person should or should not break the law. Maybe they shouldn't, but even though we know the laws are biased in certain ways, we know that they are applied in different ways to different communities. We know all of that, but there's a point where you say to that 23-year-old man, "Okay, we need you to learn a lesson. We're going to teach you some things or whatever, and when you get out, you'll be getting out at 26. You'll be getting out at 25. You'll get a chance to live more of your life, not 20 years. And that's the part that I think that's what infuriates me. I know you seem to be more at peace with it. Like you've somehow you're just such a smart guy. I'm sure you've risen to some spiritual level where you can handle this. But inside of me, it leaves me furious, and I'm furious that it exists. I'm furious that black people allow it. I'm furious that we let the Obama administration get away with it because we got this biracial president. He's just as white as he is black, but he's acting awfully white right now, not paying attention to what's happening to black people. And if we voted for him, then who else would we go to help to get him to solve this problem? I actually heard somebody say the other day. They said, well, why should you ask Obama to deal with the mass incarceration issue? He didn't cause mass incarceration. I said, well, shit, he didn't cause global warming either. But you see him pandering to those white folks over up in Alaska over global warming. I mean, are you serious right now? How stupid do you have to be? So anyway, I'm gonna quit talking, man, because I'm gonna end up just saying something I regret. Let's get back to now and you guys in the future. What do you guys have in the works? What's next for you?
Well, I'm doing the segment now, Dr. Boyce. We're gonna start coming out with the segments on the transition, um, because there's no real blueprint for brothers getting out, for brothers and sisters getting out. There's no blueprint. It's like, okay, you do your time, 20, 25 years, and now go out. So you don't have any computer skills, you don't have anything. So I'm going to go over my experience coming out after doing 19 years and 2 months. Um, kind of, kind of go through what I went through. I'm not going to give everything because, like I said, I'm getting more in detail with the book. I have a book coming out. It's going to be titled Belly of the Beast. So, but I am going to talk about the coming out, how the technology had changed from the time that I had gone in, how they don't give you any of those skills. So I had to basically learn that on my own since I've been out. The lack of transportation, which leads to the lack of being able to get to opportunities. The family issues that we go through with family and you first coming home, and the lack of trust therein, the trying to get your credit and yourself together, just simple things like trying to get clothes, trying to get a small wardrobe to clothe yourself. So we're going to go into that segment. Like I said, I'm working on a couple albums right now, one to be released probably within the next month, called I Am the One. It's a mixtape, and then I have a full length album coming out next year. These are hip hop, straight hip hop, like I said, and I got the book coming out in about 4 to 6 months. And then I'm performing, I'm traveling, I'm trying to get on that circuit in the colleges to because I think that the youth still have that fire, and the points that you brought up are right and exact, but I think it starts before that. I think that, yeah, that young guy that goes in at 23 needs to get out at 26. But I also think that we need to find alternatives to prison. Everything can't be prison, even for the white person. But now they tend to come out now with this meth thing. They tend to have these drug courts now where they're finding alternatives for them. So I think that there needs to be alternatives. I think that jury pools. This is a diverse country. I had an all-white jury. As a matter of fact, out of the pool of jurors that I had, there was one Asian in the whole courtroom out of a pool of about 50 jurors. They knocked him because they said it took him too long to answer. They asked him, "Can you be fair to the defense?" He said, "Yes." "Can you be fair to the government?" "Yes." And for that hesitation right there, the prosecutor said he took too long. He hesitated too long. I think he'll be biased against us. So we have to start with we need diverse juries. I want black people, Asian people. We live in a diverse country. Have a diverse jury. Prosecutors need to be vetted. I've never heard a prosecutor get on yet. I remember there was a case, and I was in prison watching this, and this kind of stuff infuriates me. I'm not infuriated about my time because, like I tell people already, I did it. I'm out. I made my prison experience 16 years of it. I made that my university. That's why I'm not mad, because I made sure that that was all my time. I didn't work in no Unicor. I didn't do much of what they wanted. I made sure my 8 hours that they wanted to get out of me, I got that. But what infuriates me is this brother was accused of rape. Woman came back later and said he didn't do it. I lied. The prosecutor on that case, I can't remember the brother, but I remember watching it. The prosecutor said, well, he did something. Now they let him go, but just said he did something. What? And that's across the board. It's the same thing with police. Police will do some bogus stuff, but they will back each other. They will back each other. They will die with that. Dude gets shot in his face. How can you justify that? Oh, well, I mean, he shouldn't have turned his car engine back on. Come on, miss me with that, man. So I think that the judicial system has to have an overhaul. Period. It has to have an overhaul before we even get to the stage of, send him to prison. Now he's there, because even that 3 years, there are some cases in this country. There are some crimes that you could simply fine a person. You could simply fine them and allow them to continue going to school or working to support their family. All of that. It's all a money thing. Another thing, real quick. I know we're getting short on time, but another thing I want to stress, and I didn't mention it in my video: halfway house. Halfway house. See, I expose these things because they need to be told. Halfway house is a scam. This is the scam. They will send a person to the halfway house. They have what they call a year halfway house now. It used to be you could get anywhere from 3 months, 2 months, 6 months to a year halfway house. They will send you to the halfway house. You get a job. You have to pay the halfway house, I think, like 25% of your earnings, of your gross. You pay them 25%. Let's say you're doing good in the halfway house. You've been in the halfway house a month. You're supposed to be in there 6 months. The bed that you sleep in, you're paying that 25% of your gross for that bed that you're sleeping in. They say, okay, you're doing good, Mr. Karama. We're going to send you home. They put a bracelet on you from the supervised release officer. They put a bracelet on you so that they can track you, but you're home now. So you continue to go to work, but you have to be home at a certain time. You're still paying on that bed, though. So you're still paying 25% of your gross, even though you're not there. But guess what? Somebody else is now sleeping in that bed. They're paying on that bed as well. But guess what? They send them home. They got 3 months left on their halfway house. They send them home. Same process. They're still paying on that bed. So now you got 2 people paying on that bed. Now they send somebody else from prison, takes that bed. He or she gets a job. Now he or she is paying on that bed. So you got 3 people paying on that bed. In some cases, you might have 8, 10 people paying on one bed. That's the scam in the halfway house, which is why I told them, no, I'm not taking a halfway house. But these are some of the things that we need to know. So when people talk about, oh, you shouldn't have, well, taxpayer dollars, I mean, quite frankly, if you want to pay your taxpayer dollars to keep a person incarcerated for 22 years, a nonviolent offender.
Wow. Well, hey, you said it all, man. I mean, it's
They're getting it all. They're getting it in all ways they can. They're getting it every avenue they can.
Well, I'll tell you, it is very, very interesting because, there are a whole lot of nonviolent offenders up on Wall Street who cost us a whole lot more money than any drug dealer, any kingpin could ever charge or cost us. None of them went to prison. Also, if you want to talk about the dangers of drugs and all that, okay, well, guess what? The family that created OxyContin has killed far more people than most of the drug dealers in America. I mean, a lot of people died from OxyContin, but that family, they're worth billions. So the double standards are enormous. We know what they are. It's just a matter of whether or not we choose to stand up. So, Mr. Ray, I'll let you get the last word. So what's next for you? You got any big projects planned out?
No, I'm just working with this guy. Actually, we just we're working on a. Believe it or not, I'm indoctrinating him into some rock and roll. We've got a rock tune we're working on. Uh,
Ah, I love it. Love it.
yeah,
I can't wait to hear it, man. Is that gonna
yeah.
be on the album?
It's
It
possible. It's
could be.
possible. It could be. Yeah, I like change. So
Okay, okay. So y'all spend time in the film studio and the music studio.
yeah,
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 we got a small
absolutely.
recording studio that
I,
set up.
This brother's been a blessing, man. He's been a blessing. He reached out, and I want to stress that too. Just because I'm big on networking, man, and just the reaching out. You don't know what can happen, man. Just reach out to somebody. You don't know what can happen. What fences can be mended. You don't know what potential growth you can have. I mean, networking. This brother reached out. We've been Facebook friends for like 2 years and never talked to one another. But he
mm,
saw these videos and was like, "Man, let me try to help. I can up the quality for this brother." And didn't charge me. Was like, "Yo, I'm doing it out of the love."
You know,
wow.
one thing he said about the universe. He said the universe always provides you resources.
Yeah,
And I say, yeah, it's true. Because look, here I popped
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely, man. Well, I love it. Two brilliant black men working together. Great things are gonna come out of that. I know I'll be watching closely, and when I come to Columbus around Christmas time, I'd like to come visit the studio. Maybe I might. I have made a rap song before, so maybe I might go back in the booth, redeem
Okay.
myself. People still make fun of me for that one song I made, but I thought it was kind of good. But hey,
We
but
got you.
hey, I'll leave that to the real artists. Well, hey guys, it was great getting a chance to talk to you. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr. Bark.
Boyce.
Abs-
Appreciate that.
all the feelings mutual, and everybody. This is Mr. Yarima Karama. His album that I really hope you'll go buy his album, even if you don't listen to it, but you should because it's good. But even if you don't like this kind of music, just support. It probably won't. It doesn't cost you much. What's cost the album? About $10, $5, $8.
$10. Yeah, $10.
$10. It's $10. You go to McDonald's, you'll spend $10 on buying a couple of value meals or whatever. So
Yeah.
go buy a copy of the album. The album's called My Testament Volume One. You can get it at yurimakarama.com. Is that correct, Yurima?
Yeah, you can Amazon, iTunes, Spotify. Come to my webpage, yurimakarama.com.
Okay,
Yes.
My Testament Volume One. He's got a new album coming out very soon called I Am the One.
Yes.
And also John Ray. He is the CEO of Full Ray Productions. That's full with one L, not two. So go check out Full Ray Productions. Show your love. Show your support. Don't just watch. Don't just think about it. Don't just applaud. Don't just pray for them. Go drop a couple dollars in. Help brothers out. Let's support each other. Let's have each other's back. All right. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. Thank you guys for watching. Please take care. God bless. We are gone. Peace.